Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Wolverine number 37. This is a book from Marvel Comics. This actually came out last month, but I'll be doing a review of Wolverine 38 as well. And I wanted to get you guys caught up because this is the first part of that story. So let's take a look at the creative team and then we'll talk more about this issue. This book is written by Benjamin Percy with art by Juan Jose Rip, Frank Dermott on colors, letters by Corey Petit. This is part one of Last Mutant Standing. In this issue, Hulk and Wolverine together again. Logan's grand tour of the Marvel Universe begins here in the only way it could, face to face once more with the Incredible Hulk. But will they meet as friends or enemies? And Wolverine hunts down his remaining three clones and beast weapons of X. For in the end, there can only be one Logan. The perfect jumping on point as Wolverine's new status quo in Fall of X kicks into high gear. I will say I definitely agree. This is a perfect jumping on point. I wasn't current with Wolverine's story up until the Weapons of Vengeance, but that was pretty much its own little standalone thing. So when I read this, uh, I was like, okay, we have enough information here. Benjamin Percy does a really good job at catching up the viewer with some narration. This book really just kind of follows Logan on that path, on this one mission to get these clones, take them out, but also while setting or resetting the world to reflect that Orchis has won and the House of X has fallen, that the X-Men and mutant kind itself is now being hunted down all over Earth, and how that affects not only Wolverine but everyone kind of around him while he's still on this mission. So of course, teaming up or facing off against the Hulk is just a natural progression. The Hulk was, Wolverine was introduced in a Hulk book, so this makes a lot of sense. They have long history, which Benjamin Percy revisits some of the greatest hits in this issue, so I really enjoy that. Now let's talk a little bit about the art. I'm not too familiar with Juan Jose Rip's art, but I gotta say I really like it. I like how gritty and realistic it looks while still giving you that sense of superheroics. I think you'll see as we move on to some of this stuff. It is very reminiscent, and I mean this as a compliment to like art like Frank Quietly and somebody like that, where we have a lot of little details, a little scratches. Just there's something about it that it can be a little off-putting at first, but once you really look into the details, I really love everything that Rip and Dermott are doing with the coloring and the art. We see Logan traveling around, facing off against, or at least avoiding some of the Orchis forces. And then, of course, we get to see the main event. One of the clones has turned into a Wendigo because of the curse. And of course, things are unhinged and insane. I love this. I love they like this first page so much that they actually made it into one of the alternate covers, one of the variant covers, I believe, for the second print. So yeah, this is just a quick taste of the action. And like I mentioned, Benjamin Percy manages to give you little bits of the backstory. We see here Logan when he was young, revisiting his home. We also see here as the Incredible Hulk comes back into the picture. So this book was a lot of fun. So I think I'm gonna probably cover this full arc of the Last Mutant Standing to follow Logan along in this trip across the Marvel Universe. We know that later on he'll be teaming up with Cap, Black Panther, many more in the Marvel Universe. So very excited to follow this through. And stay tuned in the channel. We'll be dropping a review for Wolverine 38, which is the next part of the story. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Wolverine number 38. This is part 2 of Last Mutant Standing. Make sure to check out the channel for our review on Wolverine 37, which covers the first part of the story as Wolverine teams up with the Hulk in this story. In this issue, as you can see, we're teaming up with Captain America, but let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. In this book, we have writer Benjamin Percy with art by Juan Jose Rip, Frank Darmot on colors, letters by Corey Petit, multiple variant covers that you'll see some at the end of the video. In this issue, reunited Captain America and Wolverine. You know those old friends, the ones that go way, way back, who you can always rely on? That's Steve Rogers to Logan, whose friendship goes back all the way to World War II. It only stands to reason that as Wolverine faces the fallout from Fall of X, that Captain America has his six. But Orchis rises and Legacy House takes advantage of the situation. Who will fall? Last Mutant Standing continues. Uh, so, as I mentioned in the issue for the review for 37, this arc is a very good jumping on point if you don't know everything that's been going on with the mutants and Wolverine and House of X. If you haven't stayed up to date on this series, I think this is a great jumping on point. Benjamin Percy very efficiently through the narration catches you up on Logan's status quo, Logan's situation now, the situation of the world around for the mutants. So I think Benjamin Percy's doing a bang up job with this series. Also, following along, Wolverine visiting some of the most, some of the most valued characters in the Marvel universe. Starting with the Hulk in the past issue, now visiting with Captain America, which, as we know, they have a very good relationship, long-standing. They go way back. So very excited to see this in progress. So let's take a look at some of the preview art. Uh, I've talked about not being too familiar with Juan Jose Rip's art, but I really like it. I think it really fits very well, especially with some of these establishing shots. I love the level of detail. I also really like how some of the angles that Rip picks to represent, and I just love this second page as we see some flashbacks to Captain America in World War II and some of the other missions that maybe they have Logan and Cap have had as allies. And then we also get into the action. The art can definitely also get quite brutal. I think Darmada's colors really they don't make it seem as gore, like the blood is not super bright because of the lighting, but I think it works to kind of establish that this is a serious situation, but also the time has gone by, right? So it's a very cool establishing shot in this page to show the level of danger, and of course things escalate from there, but with Captain at his side, I think Logan's got the upper hand. So I just really like that. I feel like Benjamin Percy is checking off a list of like these are some of the highlights in Logan's life. So let's revisit it. Let's revisit those characters and put them in new situations. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens next. And we know that in the next issue, we'll be visiting with Black Panther. Black Panther's also got a completely new status quo, right? Not only from his status in the Avengers, but his status in Wakanda. So we'll see how things play out there. So very cool variant covers at the end of the video. Make sure to stay tuned for those. So if you have read this issue, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for The Superior Spider-Man Returns. This is a one-shot, new from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Dan Slott and Christos Gage, with art by Mark Bagley, Ryan Stegman, Umberto Ramos, and Giuseppe Camuncoli. So, of course, those creators, big part of the original run, big part of the Spider-Man, like just Spider-Man in general. So, very much expected to see them here. Great cover by Ryan Stegman. In this issue, Superior Spider-Man web slings again. The Spider Team that redefined the Amazing Spider-Man returns to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the most monumental and shocking Spidey story in a generation. Dan Slott, Ryan Stegman, Mark Bagley, Giuseppe Camuncoli, Umberto Ramos, Peter Parker, Doc Ock together again for a Spider-Man story superior to all others. Um, I gotta say, I was a big fan. Like, this is what was happening in Spider-Man when I started reading comics. So definitely a very big fan of this story. Big fan of all the contributors here. So very excited to revisit this world, revisit this story. However, whether we're gonna see maybe some untold stories from that run, or something that's setting up, because I think the series is returning. So definitely gonna set that up. Very excited to get into this. Very excited to hear a lot of announcements coming out of New York Comic Con for the future of a lot of these series, a lot of these heroes. So let's take a look at some of the preview art and talk about it. And as you can see here, I mean, this looks to me like Bagley's art. If I had to take a guess, I'm not usually very discerning, but I think each one of these creators has their own unique style for sure. I can tell you these pages look like Ryan Stegman. I'm also very familiar with Ryan Stegman's art. So yeah, it looks like they will each be taking a turn, maybe telling part of the story or telling four different stories. So I'm very excited to get into this. I'm very excited to read it. Once we do, we'll definitely be talking about it, whether it's on a review followed up here or on our live show. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Let us know your favorite superior Spider-Man moment down in the comments. I think that's always fun. And definitely we'll be talking about this and more of the announcements as we get into New York Comic Con this week. So if you have read this book, let us know what you thought about it down in the comments. Hello everyone, Dan here for the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for X-Men Red number 16. This is a new book from Marvel Comics, continuing the Fall of X line of books in the X-Men office. Let's talk about the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Al Ewing with art by Giliar Sinar, colors by Federico Blee, letters by Ariana Maher. In this issue, Condition Red. The Force horsemen ride across the land. Damon armies sweep through the skies. The Spire Vial is open as Genesis launches her endgame. Storm and the Brotherhood fight for their lives across the Red Planet, and somewhere the last Okara seed blooms. The revelation is here, plus you're not going to want to miss out on an all-new bonus story celebrating Latinx heroes and creators. So that's really cool. I don't have any preview for the bonus story. I don't even know who is part of that as far as the writing team or the art team. So we'll definitely talk more about that when I get a chance to read the book. But the Civil War has been going on in Morocco. Like everything, this big cosmic battle is going on between Storm and her group, and also the return of the Army of Apocalypse. So I think it's going to be a really fun issue. Al Ewing lives and loves that cosmic stuff, and I think he's been doing such a bang-up job just juggling all these characters. So let's take a look at some of the preview art here. As you can see, big war landscapes, big casualties of war as well, and then just seeing the horsemen move forward with their plan makes for a really interesting book. But never count out the mutants in the Brotherhood. I guess I did have a page from Scales and Shadows, which is the second part of the book. So we do have a page from that. So really cool, which makes a lot of sense because we do have a variant cover as well for this. So yeah, very excited for that. I don't have an art team or creative team for that story, but very excited to read it nonetheless. So if you have read this book, let us know down in the comments. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for Capwolf and the Howling Commandos #1. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Carlos Magno, colors by Espen Gutenberg, and letters by Travis Lanham with a really cool cover by Ryan Brown. We do have some variant covers, which we'll see some at the end of the video. So, when this book was announced, I was very excited because I really like Stephanie Phillips, and just the concept of Captain America Werewolf really sounds like a lot of fun, especially now that we are in Halloween season. So, perfect time to get into this book. So, in this book, when Captain America is transformed into a werewolf on the front lines of World War II, he'll need the help of the Howling Commandos to take down a band of Nazi cultists who intend to use supernatural forces to turn the tide of battle. But can Cap control the skeptical, jaded commandos when he can barely control himself? And I think this is gonna make for a really interesting story, right? Just the concept of Cap is like this soldier who really, even though he's a super soldier, like he still goes by logic, and being confronted with this supernatural aspect of it, like himself turning into a werewolf and having to deal with, having to lead the commandos and keep trying to stay in check. I think that's going to be really fun. Carlo Magno is a fantastic artist, which just from these a few preview pages, we can see that there's going to be a lot of really fun action from the war. And I really love how Captain America's suit just kind of stands out in between all this uh, all this action that's happening in the war, right? I think just because of his color palette, it's very much something that grabs your attention. So very interesting setting, very interesting story. We'll definitely have a separate video to review this, or we'll talk about it on our live show. So make sure to stay tuned for that. If you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a preview for The Avengers #6. This is a new book from Marvel Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into the book. This book is written by Jed MacKay with art by Ivan Fiorelli, colors by Federico Blee, letters by Corey Petit, and a stunning cover by Stuart Immonen. Uh, so we have a couple of stories. We also have a backup story here by Kalinda Vasquez, with pencils by Alba Gless, Elisabetta D'Amico on inks, Matt Miller on colors, and letters as well by Corey Petit on both stories, it seems. Very excited to see what's going on. So let's take a look at the preview here. In this issue, the Avengers battle the Ashen Combine comes to a head. One and one will fall. But will the impossible city fall with them? What kind of doom might fall upon Earth as a consequence? Plus, we have a bonus story celebrating Latinx heroes and creators, which I named in the second story. So that's going to be very cool. Um, I have only one page from the bonus story, so we'll get into that. But yeah, I really have been enjoying this confrontation between the Combine and the Avengers. I think it's been a really fun battle of splitting up the team and having them fight. Not so much their equivalent, but just like people that actually put up a fight against them. While we have also the mystery of what's going on with this impossible city. I think I have a feeling that the impossible city may become like New Avengers HQ. I haven't read the issue, so I'm not sure, but I feel like they've been setting up something like that. I might be completely wrong. So, but either way, I'm very excited to find out. So let's take a look at some of the preview art here. As you can see, we have a lot of stuff going on in space with T'Challa and Cap, and also we have a lot of things going on with the fight. I really like that Thor has that old school look with the big wings and his helmet, and the just they kind of went back to the some of the older looks, and of course we have a really cool panel or a page of him just calling down the lightning, and then in the next page you can also see a little bit of a preview for that backup story with a Firebird. So really interesting stuff. Very excited to finally get to the end of the story. Like I said, it's been a really fun arc. So if you haven't been reading the Avengers book, this is the perfect chance for you to jump in and catch up and get a full story all in one. Of course, there's some amazing variants for this issue, as always. So stay tuned till the end of the video for that. And if you have read this book, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.